had resentment with my mum. How? How can I be resentful? I always wanted more love. I was never taught how to be a Muslim. I was never taught to pray. I felt like an imposter. No friends, no family, no income. All the things that make you a man, they had gone.
What are the common reasons that get in a man's way when he's pursuing any goal?
Laziness, procrastination.
How does low self-esteem translate in a man's life?
If you're someone that has low self-esteem.
In this episode, we get to understand the mind behind Brotherhood DXB. We get to see that Adil's passion for giving didn't just start recently, but it started from a very early stage. We dived into faith, his journey with Umrah. We dived into mental health and physical health that men go through, as well as Adil's own personal challenges and then how he managed to overcome them. I can't thank Adil enough for how he was sharing with us in such an authentic way. This episode is packed with many captivating life stories. All right, before we kick off this episode, if you can do me the small favor and click on the subscribe button, I'll truly appreciate it, and it will help me bring you more and more high performers to the show. This is the High Performance Mindset, and today's guest is Coach Adil. Enjoy this episode.
Adil, you've started probably a couple of years ago, but you've grown a very strong community of focusing on men's well-being, making a positive, significant impact, in my opinion. But 3 years ago, when you came from London, you were jobless. So how did you get from there to right now, where you're providing a lot of programs, spaces and platforms for men to share? Like, there's so many to get into, but
So many steps, bro.
But I want the mental journey, like when you got here. Why did you decide to come to Dubai?
So let me take it a step back. And if we're going to go into mental journey, then you need to understand why I wanted to create a men's group in the first place.
Right.
So 4 years ago, I was living at home in London with my mum and my sister. And we had a very difficult time at home. Ever since my dad left my mum when I was 17, my mum never really handled it very well. Did her best, but it was really turbulent. It was really hard. And my sister was 11, I was 17. It was a hard time. We kind of lost both parents at the same time. You know, our dad stayed in our lives, but it just wasn't the same. And mum was just trying to find herself during this time and trying not to fall apart. So what happened was, 4 years ago, everything just blew up. And I ended up getting kicked out of my house. And I was living at home all those years. Imagine 31 living at home. In this day and age, it's like, okay, when are you going to leave? You know? I even felt embarrassed to tell girls that I'm living at home with my mum. And I make excuses like, oh, I'm just there for a little while, you know? But I really felt insecure about that process. But when I got kicked out of the house.
So you got, like, your mom had the conversation with you, like.
It wasn't a conversation, it was a text message.
You need to
told both me and my sister to leave. Yeah. We had rocked the boat, but with reason. We're just sick of it. We're just sick of what was happening in the home. And I don't want to go into it because it's not my place, but it was just a hard time.
Okay.
But it's so weird because in that moment of being told to leave, I felt a mixture of like relief and anger. I felt relief because I was like, yes, okay, fine. That's what it takes now, then I can go. Great. Because I had a good job, I had money, I had a girlfriend at the time. Like it was okay, you know, I could go and just go find my own and finally be myself.
So you could have afforded to.
Yeah. So I wasn't at home because I couldn't afford it.
You know, part of it you kind of felt obliged to be around, maybe.
Yeah, I felt like my mum's mental health depended on me being at home. And that if I did leave, then maybe something stupid might happen that I didn't know.
Right.
So I always felt a little bit scared that if I left, I don't know what would happen.
Right.
But when I left, and I left before my sister, and my sister was so upset at me for leaving first, but I just couldn't stay. At the same time, I was going through a really hard time with my girlfriend because I had cheated on her and she found out. So I'm now navigating, like, trying to repair a relationship after infidelity, which is ridiculously hard. and being kicked out of my house and everything that comes with that, you know, and dealing with my sister who was also really upset at me and why am I leaving her now? Because they had a very bad relationship. And because of all this stuff that was going on, I had to run away from everything. So I booked a retreat to Morocco. It was a yoga and surfing retreat.
Nice.
I thought, let me just be around some spiritual white people, right? And then surfing was just like a bit of fun. I had no idea I'd never done it before. But while I was on this retreat, which was awesome, by the way, just to wake up and do yoga every morning and meditate and just be, I met a Reiki healer. And I did not know what Reiki was.
Okay.
I had zero idea, zero clue. But I was so vulnerable, I just felt...
I'm not the only one. All right.
Yeah. So Reiki healer, some kind of energetic healing. They talk to you. They use their hands. I don't know. I was very ignorant to it. I even laughed at the thought. But I was also so open to just anything at the time. I was so lost. I didn't know what to do. And what was supposed to be a 1-hour session became a 3-hour session with this woman called Kate. She was a Russian lady in Morocco doing Reiki. And one of the things that happened was that she showed me like one of those cards and it had an image and she asked me to describe the image and I just described my mum. So I could see an old woman carrying like a bag of hay or something and she looked like she was just struggling. And I just started relating it back to my mum and that she's probably going through a hard time and all of these things. And then there was a moment when she said, I want you to move me to a part of the room that represents your mum. I was like, what? What do you mean move you? Anyway, I had to just do it. And I had to somehow just get into it without laughing and it's my ignorance. I was just being so ignorant at the moment. But I just got into it and I thought, okay, fine. So I moved her around the room and I don't know, I just felt like just stopping her there. And then she went into like a little ball on the floor and started crying. Like genuinely crying. I was like, what the hell is happening? And then she came up and she just said to me, talk to me as if I'm your mum. She guided me through that process. And I was like, okay. And then I just said, like, you know, Mum, are you okay? Like, what's wrong? And she just started replying to me as if she was my mum. But it was weird because she was replying as if and saying things that my mum would probably say. You know, in this moment, in this time of being heartbroken and all these things and feeling lost and alone and raising 2 kids and, you know, everything, doing it on her own. And there was a moment where we were talking and these things were coming out of me about resentment and anger. I have resentment with my mum. And I felt ashamed to even have resentment towards my mum. How? How can I be resentful and have anger and all these things? But it's because I really didn't get, I felt the love that I needed from my mum during that time after my dad left. And then I started to relay that back to my relationships with women and how no matter what relationship I was in, I always wanted more love from somewhere else. Attention, affection, anywhere. I cheated on loads of girlfriends, which is not okay. But I couldn't quite articulate why or understand what was going on. But that moment with Kate made me realize that I was so starved for love and attention that no matter how much I got, it would never satiate me. So that was a really pivotal moment for me. And then there was a moment where she said, you know, you've given a lot of love to your mum and I feel like you need to take it back. And then that was another moment of like, how can I just take back love from my mum? Like that, even that just feels weird and wrong and like not a very good son. And she gave me this sound bowl, like a
take back.
It's symbolic, like to take it back for yourself and to give yourself love. She said that, you know, she said to me that you haven't been giving yourself the love that you need and you didn't get what you needed from your mum, but you can give back because she's fine. And she was speaking again in first person. I'm fine. Take the love that you need. And this sound bowl was just symbolic of that. And I started crying when she gave me the bowl and I took it back for me because I felt ashamed as well. But then I also felt this lightness. It was so weird. I genuinely felt light from my shoulders.
Right, that you've been carrying for
just relieved.
A long time.
So weird. And in this moment, I'm like, again, I'm becoming more open to what's happening. And one of the key things that came up as well, other than just this understanding of the love that I didn't get and how that affected my relationships, was that I had suppressed so much of my emotion. I had suppressed so much of just what I really felt about everything. I was also very much the nice guy. I tried to keep the peace with everyone, but then it would blow up in bouts of anger. Like really, like throughout my teens and my 20s, I was quite an angry person, you know, in small amounts, but it would come out. And it was always the closest people to me that got that anger, which is unfair. But I realized that having a strong Pakistani dad and living in a society that we do makes you as a man feel like you shouldn't talk about certain things, you know, and you keep things to yourself. So when I came out this 3-hour session, I felt, okay, one, I need to encourage more men to speak up and just talk so that they can just release whatever rage or pain or whatever suffering that they're going through. And maybe there'll be some healing there because this felt good. And two, I need to repair my relationship with myself so that I don't go out there and ruin people's lives, livelihoods, damage and break hearts. And I need to heal myself. So I went home. I broke up with my girlfriend. I didn't talk to my mum for 6 months. I got therapy. I worked with a men's coach. And I just worked on just understanding myself. It was hard because this men's coach that I worked with, his name was Alexander, he would push you. You know, he'd really ask the dark questions and the things that you didn't want to really face. And I joined this men's group. It was online. It was COVID times and everything. And it was online and it was like 8 men and we would meet every week. So it's quite nice because you got to build that relationship with them over time as well. But it was also very confronting. And every time before the call, it's like a Wednesday evening, I would just get nervous that I almost would cancel. By the time that call was done, like 2 hours long, I felt so good. And I realized then that I want to start a men's group and a men's circle. And that's what I was going to do. And I started it online, just with friends and family, whoever would join. That's the origin story of why I wanted to get into men's work. Because before I was working for the British government. That's what I was doing, you know? But I came to Dubai because I was dating someone that lived in Dubai. And we had a long distance relationship. And then one day she said, well, what are you going to do about this? Are you coming or what? Man, it was a hard decision. I couldn't even tell my family the real reason why I was coming. I had to just say, I'm looking for work. I'm going to go get a job. You know? Really, I was coming for her. But within 3-4 months of me being here, the relationship broke down. Because I realized that in Dubai, I was not the guy from London. I was lost. I didn't feel very masculine. I didn't know my way around town. And I was with someone that just needed me to be that guy that I was there. I don't know how to be that guy in this whole new town with no job and no stability. And, you know, all the things that make you a man or make you a person or that prop you up in society, they had gone. No friends, no family, no like income, no car, no stability, didn't know my way around town. I didn't feel confident and I couldn't handle the relationship.
Yeah, you feel dependent or...
Yeah, and she didn't want me to be dependent. She needed me to be independent and for her to depend on me.
Don't want to see that side in you.
100%. But I get it. As well, she was just also just exhausted of being the masculine in her life.
Yeah.
And she was just wanting someone to just step up and just say, come on, I got you. It wasn't me. And I thought it was me, but it wasn't. Yeah, it was me when I was in London. And that was how I came here. But then after we broke up, I had to leave the apartment because it was hers. And then it was like living in hotels, friends' apartments, and, you know, just I've been looked after. I'm very grateful for people that I've met. And I've only met awesome people here, like yourself. You know, I've only met awesome people, which has been a blessing because I've heard loads of horror stories about being here and people that people have met. So I'm very grateful. But I believe that because I'm on the mission that I'm on, that I'm only going to attract the right people, you know?
I think, yeah, it makes you more intentional.
Very, very intentional. And the people that I've met have been through like circles and communities that are also very open to giving and being kind to each other, more aware and more conscious people. But it's been the hardest 3 years of my life. Yesterday marked 3 years of me being here.
Why was it the hardest 3 years?
I had to face so many parts of myself. Like loneliness. In London, I was never alone. I could always go see my dad, my mom, my sister. I had a girlfriend, like, you know, all these things.
There were boys from growing up.
My friends.
Cousins, yeah.
Yeah, my best friends are there, you know. Here, I found myself drinking on my own, which is pretty new. Trying to numb some kind of feeling or just trying to be out and sit in places where there's buzz and people. Or like I never got on the dating apps and stuff, so that I didn't do that. I didn't try and fill the void with that, but there were still women around, you know, while I was single there. I just wanted to be and wanted to feel something. But boy, there was the loneliness was hard, and also the finances, because I started my coaching career just before I came to Dubai, and then really making it happen here. And all this time I've maintained to not have a job, like a typical job with a salary. I've just tried to build my coaching business and build Brotherhood DXB as the income generator. But as you can imagine, being a freelancer, it's not that easy. Especially with something like coaching, where not everyone thinks they want or need coaching. Especially me working with men, where they feel like, well, I might as well go to the gym, and as long as I can see results, why would I go to a coach? Because how am I going to see the result here? So I think typically men work in a way where they need to see what's happening. If I spend this, I get this. So it was hard financially, and when I feel like when a man is rocked, and when I was rocked financially, it makes you feel pretty worthless. Can't go out and just be. I couldn't be generous. I couldn't be free. At the same time of not being able to be free, I had to be creative, and I had to go out there and get clients. And I was never proactive in my getting clients. I don't work like that. People come to me because you have to want to work with me. I know I can do a great job. I know that I can help you, and I've helped many, over these last 3 years. But I would never get on a sales call, for example, and say, hey, so I think you should get, no. If I think someone maybe could do with some guidance, I might just say, hey, how's it going? And this is what I was thinking for you, but that's it, done. But that finance part, that loneliness part, I had to face myself and ask myself why, And why can't I why can't I just be? It's because I never had it. And so what came, I guess what's coming now is this safety of, I'm good. It's okay. I feel far more comfortable being with myself, And I think we all need to go through this stuff.
Yeah.
We all got to look at the parts of ourselves that's too comfortable and have maybe some controlled adversity. I always been put through adversity for the last 3 years, which was not controlled, which is why every Sunday I go sit in the ice bath, because it's controlled adversity. You put yourself somewhere uncomfortable for a little while to know that you can do it, and you build that muscle. But it's been tough. It's been really challenging, and there were times where I almost went home. 2 times I almost went home.
But
once, when I came here, my grandmother was dying of cancer. I only found out when I came, and it happened really quick. And it was pandemic time again, the second round, where I couldn't get home. I didn't have the money, and when I did get the money, my uncle gave me some money to get the flight. I couldn't get back because the flights were all messed up. I had to go to Turkey. I even packed up all my stuff from the hotel I was staying in. I went to the airport, and they turned me away from the airport, and I had to go back to the hotel. And that was so hard. That was so depressing. So I couldn't go back to see my grandmother before she passed. Also, my mum was dealing with something also that was quite life-threatening. And so all of this happening at the same time, as well as me not having much money, as well as me losing myself and feeling lost and alone. And I eventually managed to get home, but I had to stay in a hotel for 10 days in one of these quarantine hotels, and just dealing with the frustration of all of that time. It was just a hard time, man. It was difficult. But then when I kind of got through that, and my mum was healed, and then obviously my grandmother passed, I came back here with just a different spirit and that resilience. And I can now look back and think, man, I've been through so many little things that were quite big things. But when you add them up along the way, it's all character building stuff.
Yeah, and there's no place you can go and buy that resilience that you built through going through hardship.
And there was another moment. Now, this is further on down the line, where no clients were coming. Nothing was coming. Brotherhood DXB was not working. No one was coming for this. I had no clients that I was speaking to, and nothing was working. And I remember speaking to I had a coach. There was 2 coaches I was working with, and family. My family were always wondering, why are you there? What are you doing? Why don't you just come home, get a job? You got good experience. You could just make good money right now. It was hard to articulate why I was doing what I was doing. I would hope they would understand, because they left their homes, their countries, to go to London. The same way I'm leaving London to go to Dubai to seek a better life. And I know that here is the place, For me to have built what I've built in these last 3 years, it would not have happened in London. I just know.
I totally agree. Me now being back and forth Oman and Dubai, Brotherhood DXB is definitely, this is the place for it, because a lot of times, like in other countries, like people have their people.
Yeah.
But here,
we're all nomads.
Yeah. And it's just expats. The life happens to them where sometimes they split up with their wife, or wife splits up with their husband, breakups happen, and then the person is just left on their own, and they're on and talk about their personal stuff with their colleagues from work. Maybe they feel their friends, their circle could be judgmental.
Yeah. A whole number of reasons, right? But typically what I find is that people here are alone. We're all expats. We're all immigrants. We're all, we were not from here. And so you can feel lonely. And everyone here was just seeking connection. And so I didn't have any real connections happening at the time. The friends that I had, it's hard to maintain a relationship with new friends in a place like Dubai because everyone's busy. There's always something happening every other day, and I didn't have the finances to go out and be social. And that day, I remember this day, I spoke to my coach, and she said to me, maybe you're not meant to be a coach. And it hit me so hard because it's exactly what I was thinking. And I remember that day because I had like this feeling in my throat all day of like this tightness and like, I don't know, this bubble. And I just before speaking to her, I spoken to my dad, and he was telling me, like, why don't you come home? What are you doing? Like, I don't understand. Like, maybe you shouldn't be doing this. And so I had these two powerful people in my life telling me these things. I couldn't take it. Put the phone down. I went to my room. I shut the curtains. I lit some incense and some sage. I put on some like tribal music, took off my clothes, jumped in the bed, burst into tears. All that feeling that was here was just emotion and just tears. And I just cried for hours. And what I was thinking, I would say out loud. The thing that I would say things like, I'm scared. I'm afraid. What am I doing here? Whatever thought I had. And I don't know why I did it. Intuitively, I just did this. Even the whole thing of burning in all this incense and closing the curtains. I don't know why. It just felt like the right thing to do. I felt like I had to do something. And as all this was going on, I'm having visions of seeing things. And then I had a vision of me shaving my beard. I started crying at the time. I was like, why am I shaving my beard? And then I started to like kind of hug myself and just say, hey, it's cool. Like, don't worry about it. I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm just intuitively just soothing myself. And I realized that the person that was afraid is just like this younger version of myself that just feels alone and feels scared. But there's the older version of me, which is the guy that's here right now that knows better. He's the master. He understands. He's the big guy. He's the big daddy. And I built a relationship with my inner child and my kind of myself now during that moment. And then I fell asleep. In the morning, I woke up and I shaved my beard. And upon shaving that beard, I felt like a new man. And I was like, okay. I open my phone, I go to Instagram, and I see a DM from a guy called Manny. Manny says to me, I see what you're doing and I like it. I'd like to have a chat with you because we're going to run an event called Men Don't Cry and we'd like you to host it. And I was like, what? What are the chances that I just spent the whole night crying and he wants me to lead and host an event called Men Don't Cry, a panel discussion about this very topic? They were the host of a podcast called The Mentality Podcast, Manny and Corey, good, really awesome guys. And I was like, this is just, there's no coincidence here. How is it that the very next day this happened? And it was because that night I just let go. I didn't try and overthink. I just did. I just was. I just allowed myself to be. And I feel like when we allow ourselves to be, it's like God or universe or something's like, oh, okay. You're surrendering now, which is good. You're just letting it flow. Here's some flow. Here's some good stuff. And that's what happened. I ended up working with them for quite some time. They're on the same path of just helping men become better men and giving them safe spaces to talk and be open. And it just aligned. And that gave me almost like a new found reason to stay and not to be silly and just like give up. And I haven't given up or tried to give up or even thought about giving up since. I thought about getting a job. But even then I'm like, no. I don't want a job. I'm going to stick with this.
I mean, you wouldn't have go through all that pain and, sadness if you didn't have the passion for it.
Yeah.
Like if you...
it was always there, but you get tested.
Of course.
It's been 3 years of tests, different kind of tests, but these are the ones that are going to last. These are the tests that I know that it'll be in a few years' time. I'm going to be on stage speaking to thousands of people, telling my origin story. You know, the same way Dwayne Johnson talks about, you know, his $7 in his pocket. I'm going to have the same stories, or just my versions of strife and struggle. And I believe that we should all go through this, and we do in our own ways. If we can just attach that understanding to what we're going through and know that we are going through this for a reason. And if we just take the lessons, we will grow and we will, you know, elevate who we are. But when we don't do that, then we just keep repeating the same shit.
From your experience, like with your coaching clients, and also from the platforms where men share,
yeah,
what are the common reasons that get in a man's way when he's pursuing any goal, any development goal, whether it's health, career? What are the common reasons?
Well, the better the devil you know. So they know what they know, and discomfort is not appealing. So trying anything new is typically just not something comfortable. So the feeling of being new at something is not favorable because it affects your ego. Your ego is like, no, I don't want to feel new at this. Even though if they just look back in time, you'll see that you were new at something once and now you're an expert. Laziness, procrastination, low self-esteem. You know, that self-love aspect for men, for themselves, ridiculously low. Not feeling worthy, attaching all of their worth to other people or other people's love and adoration and affection. And I definitely faced that.
How does low self-esteem translate in a man's life?
So if you're someone that has low self-esteem, you typically are someone seeking love, affection, attention, and validation outside of you, which means that you get propped up when like someone says like, hey, you look good, or, you know, they want to spend time with you, or that kind of interaction. But when you have low self-esteem like, for yourself, you tend to do more things for other people and less things for yourself because you don't think you're worth it. You know, oh no, I don't need to worry about eating the right food or going to the gym. I'm not even worried about my career. Like, it's okay. I'm just happy to just go by, but I want to do things for everyone else. It's the kind of nice guy attitude, you know? And it's sad to see. It's sad to see men with like low self-esteem, and then it becomes so debilitating in terms of it becomes crippling.
It's a vicious cycle.
It's a vicious cycle. And because they stay in that cycle, they just think, I'm not good enough. What's the point? So when they don't think that they're good enough, what's the point? They don't even try anymore. And so it's such an uphill struggle for even coaches like me to work with them. But when they see that someone else believes in them, so maybe I do prop up that kind of validation part, but then I make them do the work and then I hold them accountable just to give them enough time to see the progress. And when they see the progress and there's momentum, then it will just run.
How does, what are the things that makes a person build up confidence in themselves?
Repetition. So we were talking about confidence the other day at the men's circle, just as an example of speaking to women in public. Okay, just going up and cold approach, as they call it, and just speaking to her. And almost everyone in the room was like, oh God, I don't want to do that, or I'd be nervous or afraid, or, you know, whatever. I said, look, you can give me all the reasons you want from your therapist about why you face this fear. But in my opinion, the only solution is to just get rejected as many times as possible, to flex that muscle so that you can learn how to be better at it, get the social cues. But again, going back to self-esteem, self-worth, they don't want to do it because they're afraid. They're afraid of getting rejected. Confidence is built by doing the same thing over a number of years or weeks or whatever it is, time. Competence times time is confidence. That's how I see it. You know, I'm confident going up and speaking to women because I don't really care about the outcome. I'm not trying to get anything from anyone, but I've also developed enough confidence over time by speaking to many people. Being able to sit here in front of you just like and be able to articulate myself has taken time. When I was younger, I had zero confidence. I was the shy kid. I was the bullied kid. You know, I couldn't dance in a club without being drunk first. I couldn't speak on stage. And today I spoke to 300 kids at a school. You know, I've spoken to like loads of people now, and in that kind of public setting. And don't get me wrong, I still get a little bit anxious beforehand. You know, you still feel it, but you can go do it. And that's the key thing that I would say about confidence is do the things that you're scared of. Let yourself be afraid of it, and just do it again and again until it doesn't make you feel afraid anymore.
Which is you trying to overcome initially the whole fear of failure.
Yeah. Failure and rejection hurts, right? Sure you go. One of my clients, we were sitting in a coaching session and we're sitting in a coffee shop. And he was telling me about some girl that he liked at the gym and he hasn't spoken to her for like 3 months. I was like, dude, what do you mean? Why? He's spoken to her once and then never again. Oh, she's always with her friend and it's, it's awkward. And I was like, all right. We're sitting in this coffee shop. I said, hey, what do you think of that girl over there? He's like, oh, she's beautiful. I said, cool, go talk to her. My guy, he's sweating. He was just like, what do you mean? No, I can't do it right now. Like, I can't. Come on. Have a sip of water. Go do what you got to do. It took him 5 minutes to get up from the seat. But he went. I'm looking at my watch like, where's this guy? My guy's sitting there having a great chat. I had to go get him. I said, I'm so sorry, but I need to take him back now. And he's like, all right, cool. He came over. I said, how was it? He said, yeah, it was fine. I said, of course it was fine. What do you think these women are going to do to you? What is it to be afraid of? You know? He said, oh, but she had a boyfriend. I said, so what? It's not about the outcome. It was just about having the conversation. That's it. Just have the conversation. You were afraid of nothing and you've now proven it to yourself. There are enough times in your past where there is proof that there's nothing to be afraid of. But why is it that we attach, the negative feelings are so strong. The negative parts of our life are super strong, whereas the ones that were the positive ones or just the normal ones, we don't remember. I tried to encourage him to just sit with that and say, look, it's fine. I think now he's fine. He's okay now. A few more of those under his belt and he's got the confidence.
And when it comes to, let's say, health goals, what are the common things that hold men back?
That hold men back, yeah. Again, it comes down to laziness. I definitely see just not having the drive and motivation is definitely one of them.
But I think
this is January the 1st.
I think the laziness comes from already expecting lower results.
They want results now. Mm-hmm. If they don't see results in like a week, they're like, nah.
They're not ready. They don't know. I don't think a lot of people can understand
hard work.
Yeah.
And look at the world that we live in. And I'm glad we're kind of touching on this now because we live in a very fast-paced world where things happen immediately, especially here. I get my food can be delivered to my house and abundance, right? I could even get one small item can be delivered to me and ultimate laziness if I really wanted to, okay? Dopamine. We get that dopamine rush with everything immediately. Even just that, there's a study about just before you even order food, there's a dopamine rush. We're addicted to it. Which means we're now in a society where working for things and that delayed gratification doesn't exist as much anymore, which is a shame. We're not cooking, and even that process, so we're not learning skills. The gym. We don't have the drive, motivation to give ourselves the opportunity to experience it over a long period of time and be part of the process and let that be. I started training when I was 19, but the reason why I trained when I was 19 is because I got rejected by this woman that I liked. And it hit me because she compared me to another man that had biceps and abs.
She literally did that.
Not out of any kind of spite or malice. She's just very innocent in the way she did it. She wasn't trying to put me down, but it still made me feel like rubbish, like it made me feel like crap. But it was what I needed. And even to this day, she's messaged me from time to time and she'll say that we're still friends on Instagram. 19 years old, imagine, I'm 35 now. And when the first time she heard me tell that story, she apologized to me. And I said, no, do not apologize. Because it gave me what I needed.
Yeah.
I became super fit and strong. I changed my whole look. I became more confident. I ended up being a personal trainer. I'm now a coach. All of these things had to happen. She's my origin story. The shy kid, this chubby kid, the one that was everyone's friend. To then going through the process. But it was hard. But I had to have the strong desire, motivation. And then I had a gym buddy, which was accountability.
Very good.
So for anyone to start something, you got to have your why. My why was strong. I joined the gym the next day. That's how strong it was. But I didn't know how to eat. So I was eating beans and jacket potato and cheese and having a beer. I was doing it wrong. I was at uni. I didn't know. And even when I looked around the gym, I just copied. What's he doing? I just copied. Be my friend. Until eventually some ex-army guy saw what we were doing and started to help us. And that became the beginning of the rest of my life in terms of fitness and health, you know? So a strong why and accountability goes a long way. And most people, when they get into anything like this, health and fitness, they don't plan. There is no plan. And they want the easy way, and they want the quick solution. So all of these things are going to just set you up to fail.
Yes.
Right? So I'm a big advocate of getting a personal trainer. I'm a big advocate of telling everyone what you're doing.
It's definitely worth it.
You know?
It's definitely worth it to get a personal trainer.
Yeah.
I mean, even I remember coming out of COVID, where we couldn't, go to the gym before. So at that period, I was just focusing on content creation and doing my researches. And I was just concerned with how can I sustain focus for the longest time. That's my only goal out of a day. That is, so I wasn't concerned with building muscle. I was comfortable losing all the gains that I did. It was forced upon me.
How did you get into training? And you look fantastic. Even this must have an origin story.
But, well, my brothers growing up, they all worked out.
Okay.
Like when I say worked out, like aside from sports, they would do press ups, they'll do sit ups, they'll do, that was me growing up. Like, I remember the story that they told me. This is a very long time. And my older brother was like probably 13, and the one younger, which is also 5 years older than me, Hamdan, was like 8. And yeah, both of them would do, press ups and sit ups. And I think he had started doing dumbbells, but the doctor told him to ease off the dumbbells so to not affect his growth.
Is that true, or is that a myth? Because I've heard it a lot, but I just wonder how much truth there is behind it.
I think if you're doing body weight, it's okay.
Yeah.
But I think
because we don't know. We're not scientists. We're not experts. We just
but
I feel like I was going to be this high anyway if I started training at 8 or if I started training at 19.
Look, with what you do, conditioning plays a role. And when you're growing, you're very malleable. I wouldn't advise for kids to go into weights, but I definitely would advise them to do a lot of strength and conditioning.
Yeah, body weight.
Body weight, get the joints, the muscles around them, supporting muscles, to protect them from them doing, because we never knew anything to do with strength and conditioning growing up. We only knew to do the sport. So you'll just play football or you'll just do your runs. But now, like, let's say that I'm pursuing Ironman and I'm doing, triathlons. That you cannot just do your runs or just do your bike or just do your swim without doing the strength and conditioning work, because it's all about sustainability.
Yes.
And all these concepts or fundamentals, I never knew it before. So yeah, I always had that, but I always was concerned with, we're not a tall family. So I didn't want to, stop myself from growing as I could.
Yeah.
So I only started with, I think 15 years old is when I started doing press ups, and actual weights. I think I was probably 17. Just pull ups, press ups, and dumbbells. That was it. And then once I finished high school, that's when I started going to the gym and taking it from there. And ever since, I never stopped. Like only Ramadan.
Yeah.
1 month where I do zero gym.
Wow.
Zero. So my joints say like, thank you, Hisham. We needed a break from 11 months of just, and it's because I love it. I definitely love it. I like looking good.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one part. I like feeling strong, and that strength comes just through putting yourself, through that hardship.
And it also, it makes us feel confident in who we are.
Absolutely. Especially when, so some people gain weight easily. Some people lose weight easily. I lose weight easily.
Gain weight easily.
And I always had a phobia of losing weight. So that was my big why of constantly pushing weights.
Nice.
Right? Because my older brother would always make fun of me growing up, and he would call me Bones, He would call me Heikel Bones. So Heikel in Arabic means like a skeleton, and Bones is bones. So he would call me Heikel Bones. But still, so...
You're definitely not Bones anymore.
No. But and then you see this... You see this phobia of me losing weight coming in your way. This is when I was doing my MBA, and I had to cut down my weight, going to the gym and just focus on what I can do to have most mental clarity, to consume as much information and start writing the thesis. And I was struggling and I was procrastinating because of that. And I would keep myself busy and I would not miss the gym, but then there's so little time for me to do, my paper. And until I'd be like, maybe a month in or 3 months in, I'm like, all right, Hisham, you're being lame right now.
Yeah.
Like, even if you lose weight, how bad are you going to look? Like, you'll still be okay. Yes, you'll be skinny, but it's just a phase. You're going to finish with that and you can go and hit the gyms again.
Let's talk about that. Like, that's like a body confidence issue, right? That's people have body dysmorphia, and we have all sorts of things, and it's very common among men, and it's not really talked about. My thing was like, I hated like my stomach and just being a little bit chubby. I had like man boobies when I was younger, love handles. Even now, they're not really that existent, but I still look at it, I still grab them. I'm like, man, I don't want it, And a lot of men that I've worked with and spoken with, it really bothers them, their physique, and they just pretend or they don't. And there's certain men that when I notice them behaving a certain way, putting their t-shirt or I notice the patterns now, I'll call them out. That's what's going on. And that's, for me, somewhere where I can then, because the kind of coach I am, I'm not just one of those coaches that just ask you questions and try to get to the root of the pub. No, I'm Mr. Let's go. I'm an action guy, So I will say, right, I can see how you're behaving right now, and clearly you're not happy with what's going on. Why have you not done anything about it? And then we can go into it, and then I'm like, cool, let's go.
I mean, a plus that you have is that you've actually
done it.
You've actually done it.
Yeah.
From my end, probably I can the only ones who can relate to me who are skinny, But right now, when I decided to, pursue endurance training, I had to also come at peace with that I'm going to, which it didn't happen much because when you do swimming, you also build muscle. So I did not really lose a lot, but even if I would have, I was already comfortable with it because I was putting my priority as I want to have endurance, I want to have stamina, I want to have be having a lifestyle that's constantly challenging me mentally.
Yeah.
More because weightlifting you will not go through that.
Yeah.
Unless you're working for competition.
Yep.
But endurance training, which we're going to touch upon it because you've also done a triathlon sprint.
Yeah, we'll go into that.
I want to start with you in terms of, so as a kid growing up, let's say you were more on the cuddly side.
Yeah.
Right?
I was fluffy.
Fluffy. What do you think caused that?
Poor diet. It's just being treated like I was soft. I was treated like I was soft. They would protect me. I'm the first boy between my mum and my dad, and they wanted to protect me. I was soft inside and outside, which is interesting to even make that comparison. And my diet wasn't very good. As much as we had, good curries and things were cooked. I remember summer holidays when we were off school, it was like frozen food half the time, like these chicken nuggets and like chips and McDonald's and Cokes and like, pizzas, and it was not healthy. So my relationship with food especially when like I was down or sad, I was rewarded with or made to feel happier with like a Happy Meal at McDonald's or, you know, I even link that now to being an adult and binge eating and going for when I'm feeling a little bit like down to order a pizza. Because we're linking that back to happiness when we were a kid. It was a treat. And so growing up, yeah, I didn't want to do anything active. I wasn't that kid. My dad tried to get me into like martial arts, just didn't like it. Because again, I was soft. I was like, and my dad was very tough. He was a fighter when he was younger. You know, he faced a lot of bullying and racism, and he had to fight all the white people. That's what he did. But so he wanted the same for me. I just wasn't like that. So I always felt also a bit insecure that I wasn't anything like my dad. And I got bullied at school, and I hated PE, and I hate the way my body looks, and all of these things. There's too many things at once. But lifestyle, the parents did their best. I also was passed around to different nannies when I was younger because they both worked. Before my sister came along, it was just different nannies. And so whatever food they had.
What would you advise parents to go about it differently?
Get the kids as active as possible, you know, first of all, and understand the relationship that food is medicine, you know, and that when you think you're treating them to a pizza, you're building a relationship between happiness and food, which is an emotion and food. So emotional eating will happen, and I still have it that I have to work through, where I also want to go for a burger or something, which isn't the healthy. It's not unhealthy to a degree, but it's that relationship that I had. Parents need to be more mindful about what they put into their child's body.
Because the child doesn't know.
The child doesn't know, and they're going to want the sweet things. Sugar is a drug. When you can cut out sugar from your life, you realize that, whoa, it's like you wake up from some kind of dream, you know? I just finished a 6-week program with my boys, a coaching program where no sugar was part of it. And like everything just tastes better after 6 weeks of no sugar. You know, the dates, even the apples and the fruits, just like, wow, it's just beautiful. But we've been conditioned in all the wrong ways. So getting kids into activity, especially now, look at what kids are doing. They're on social media already.
Oh.
From 2, I see babies that are 2 knowing how to use an iPhone.
To be honest, today while I was coming down the lift right now, just before coming here, right, the kid was on the stroller, and so the kid is months, right, on the phone, and it went off, like the connection went off, and the kid was already like scrolling down, trying to click on another video, and the nanny's explaining like, no, the connection, you know, is going off.
So I was sitting in a coffee shop recently, and I saw this parent and child, and then she was talking to her friend, and she goes, oh, I just, you know, there's no way that I can't not give him something, because how am I supposed to have a regular life? And I was like, well, my parents did it. Many parents did it, raise kids without having to put something in front of us, you know? We weren't always watching TV. We'd play games, we'd just be bored, and we'd find something to do. But I feel like now it's become a pandemic of social media and just phones and just technology, where kids don't want to go out. Kids don't go out anymore. They don't go and play. You know, they're not just being curious.
Yeah, now you have to kick them out of the house to go and play. Yeah. Like, hey, it's time to go out. Where before it was the other way around. No, we want to go, and it's like, no, it's too early.
Yeah, or they say, okay, you just come home now. Like, I just want to be out all the time. Or like it gets dark, like it's time to come home, you know? It's changed. But what's happening is we're building a world of soft kids that don't want to do anything. Video games, and they are so prevalent now that they live a whole life on this imaginary world. And what that does, there's some research into this. When you play video games and you go through levels and you're leveling up, it's actually satisfying a part of yourself that if you were out in the real world, you'd go out and strive and level up in your real life. So it almost placates that. So like, I don't need to be someone in society because I've got 4,000 million points on this game. I'm the guy. And I've seen videos of people where they lose their points, or they lose the space on the game, or it gets deleted. And I get that there's an emotional attachment that goes with it, but it really rocks them. And it just shows how important these games can become in your life. And of course that will have an implication to your real life.
Absolutely.
You know? And that goes for a lot of things.
Which that will be with anything in life, once you start becoming good at it and you start winning, hopefully it becomes part of your identity that you're a winner.
Yeah.
And that you can apply the same mindset into other areas and be patient, that you did not just become a great gamer in one day.
Yeah.
Right? But most of the times you'd have a person, when it comes to gaming, they're like completely someone else, right? But one steps out of the room, it's like biggest introvert, no confidence. Like, I had a colleague at work, very, speak softly. The manager would bully him and in different ways, and he would just take it with his colleagues. But when we went to Sharjah and we went to the industrial area and went to the garages, this guy is someone else. We would go together, and he's passionate about it. We'd go to different garages, to find the parts and blah, blah, blah. And he'll sit, and negotiate and try and get a better deal. And then, you know what? I'm like, where is this guy at work?
Yeah.
Where's this guy at work? I'm like, you need to bring this guy. Why is it just there? And
what did he say?
I would love that. Yeah, I brought him up to that consciousness, but I don't know how much of it did he, take it. But
you got to find the tool. I had a similar situation with a client of mine that was like, he was quite soft-natured and generally he's a nice guy, really, really nice guy, young boy, one of the brotherhood. And he would say to me, within my friends, I'm like the butt of the jokes. Even with my friends, they kind of pick on me. But what do you say to that? And at work, my colleague who's the same level as me will give me things to do and treat me like I'm the subordinate, and I don't say anything. And with girls, I'm not very good with women. Like, you can see that everything is linked. And his confidence was low, but he does martial arts. So he's been doing Muay Thai for a while. He goes, with my colleague, I could knock him out. I could knock him out, literally. But obviously, I can't do that at work. Yeah. If only he knew, what I could do to his face with my elbow. But I just don't. But I don't want to do this anymore. And one of the first things I got him to do was shave his head. Because his hair was like kind of thinning. And I was like, dude, own it. You're letting this little wispy thing own you right now. And this would be a good step for you. Because, oh yeah, I was thinking about it for a while, but with my family, I said, don't worry about your family. You got to do what's right for you. The next thing I said is I want you to write down all the times when you wish you could have said something else to those other people. And then what you would have said. And then what the response might be. And then how you deal with that response. Just those 4 things. And then we'll talk about what comes next, which will be you going out and do what you need to do and say what you need to say. My guy bypassed level step 1, 2, and 3, went straight to 4, and he started telling everyone about themselves. Hey, you, this, and the other. He told everyone. He came back to me. He's like, with his shaved head now, looking like a G, and it's really suited him. Just chest out, just a different guy. Like, I think muscle is just developing differently in his body. He just feels super strong, And he was like, dude, these same boys that would picking on me, asking me advice, I said, there you go. That's all you had to do. The shortest client I think I ever had was this guy, because he just made the quickest turnaround. I'm very proud of him. He ended up going to Thailand on a solo trip for a wedding and stuff. And he was like, meeting girls and confident talking and just being himself and had a good time. He's a young boy, and I thought, good for you, that you could find it now and not spend, like I did, years of my life feeling like crap and feeling worthless. Let's nip it in the bud now. And I feel like there's certain things that a man can do that will just take him to this level, which will benefit him forever. Training and healthy eating are the 2 key things. If you can get into martial arts, even better. You got those 3 things, you're solid. You're solid. And then you can build the other things, become interesting, read more books, have a hobby and a passion, something. All these little things come together. Join some communities, get out there talking to people, work on your career, like move and dress nicely, take care of your hygiene. All these things together make you like the guy. And I feel like most of the guys that I maybe part of the brotherhood, or no, it's not most of them, just some of them I notice, they're not just even doing the smallest, simplest things that could just elevate, make them feel better.
Which The way you're saying it, sometimes it's just those, just tweaks, not even changes.
Exactly.
You know,
Tweak
they're
it.
just tweaks. But I don't think they know how much these tweaks can change how they feel about themselves. And once it changes the way they feel about themselves, the way they carry themselves out it'll be different. And I guess it's just about getting them to do the first, the first step. And also, of course, that's the biggest.
Continuing the steps.
And then, understanding and valuing the process.
You know, the analogy that I usually give is that imagine a plane making a beeline from, I don't know, New York to Los Angeles. If you move that plane like a few percent, over time it's going to be in Mexico or something, like it's just somewhere completely different. If we just apply that same thing to our life, like just make that one small change over a period of time, the compounding effect of that is going to be huge. Just thinking about, just look back.
Every 1% counts.
Every 1% counts.
So from your journey, after you broke up with the
first girl here?
No, when you were 19.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And you decided to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Was it like in a short period of time, or was it a gradual?
It was gradual. Between 19 process. And say 21, the physique changed.
Because when I see the pictures of how you looked before and how you look right now, it's like, okay.
Okay, but even that went like this. So I kind of got into it, I got a little bit chunky, and I had like muscle under the fat. But then the photos that you've seen were when I kind of had another dip. And that dip was because I started working for a company and I just lost motivation and drive, and I was eating a lot. And I didn't even realize like how big I was getting. And that isn't even the biggest that people can go to, of course, but for my size and my height and everything, I just felt horrible. And it's only when I look back at those photos and I think, man, that was a hard time. I literally would eat a pack of biscuits at lunch. You know, at the office was terrible for me. I'd eat Thai food like every day. So it was diet. And it sometimes like London's not always a place where you want to go do stuff. It's cold in the winter and raining, and you just think, I want to stay inside and just
have a hot chocolate.
Yeah. Oh, even that, man. I would drink teas and coffees was so much sugar. I think it was at 23 where I started making the change that was different. There's one summer I met up with an old friend of mine from school. When we were friends at like 11 years old, you know, and he lived close to me, and he said, let's train together. And he was ripped. And I was like, well, this is the guy I got to train with. And that summer changed everything. And my diet, I didn't know much, but I kept my diet really clean. It was like chicken and veg in the oven. That's all I ate for like a month. No carbs. And it wasn't really smart to do it, but I didn't really know. I know maybe every now and again I might have something that mum cooks, you know?
I mean, it's always good to give carb break.
Yeah, fair enough. You know, if we don't need that much sugar in the body, and carbohydrates,
especially with, our cultures, like
rice and chapatis.
Exactly. You need to intentionally like do that to carb.
Yeah, I cut out all fizzy drinks. I only drank water. I was eating super clean, and the weight just dropped off me. And plus, I was training quite hard. And that transformation took everything to a different level. I started becoming attractive to other, to women.
You noticed it.
They couldn't work out where I was from. They're like this ambiguous man. And I had a good time with it. Like that was the transformation that happened, which kind of also really increased my confidence, because that external validation does feel good, you know? And for a man, getting women that are interested in you is like probably one of the first things that we want. You know, and to feel desired and to be attractive.
Yeah, but that's life. Like we all think that, now once I start, it'll just be uphill.
Yeah. But it definitely did drop and dip, and it needed that second bit to hit me and for me to come out of that, to realize that this is never going to happen again. So that second time when I really made that change and my body did shift and I got all that attention and I could see what I was capable of, that's when it became my passion.
At least you did it long enough to see, enough results for you to be like, okay, this is possible for me.
100%. But that accountability helped. Having someone that was like picking me up, or at least saying, I'm meeting you at the gym.
Yeah.
I didn't want to let him down like I did, you know. And then
there's no that I was just talking, I don't remember to who recently about it. It just takes away the deciding.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of our mental, you know, capacity is just going out of deciding, you know, things that once we already have a plan, right? We should try our best to take out all the deciding.
Make it your standard. Raise your standards. It's not a.
But when you have a partner, it takes that away, because now we have to.
But we can also empower ourselves to say, this I decide now. I've decided this is what I do.
But if you're starting, I would definitely recommend.
Yeah.
I would definitely recommend.
Yeah.
All my life I've been training alone, to be honest.
Yeah. You had your brothers in the beginning, so that bypassed.
I never trained with them.
But it was an influence. It was inspiration, no?
Like when I yes, I've seen it. But when I started, let's say when I was 15, my older brother was in London. So, there was no one like I was working with.
Fair enough.
But after high school, when I started going to the gym, I did have one of my friends. We used to go together. But honestly, I enjoyed it so much that if you're coming, if you're not.
Yeah.
But I would say definitely when you have a partner, you will progress a lot faster.
100%.
Because you're going to push yourself more.
Yeah.
In a safe way.
Yeah.
In a safe way, because...
Sometimes not so safe. I've had some things with the person.
I think it depends. So it depends on your partner, I guess. So it's better to have a personal trainer.
100%. It just helps, man. Just get over the line, see the progress, and then you'll see the benefit. Just give yourself enough time to see the benefit. You know, just to see the results. When you can see that, and you're really giving it, you're really going out, 100%.
I would definitely. I'm very proud to get this from my last personal trainer. Coming out of COVID, I was like, okay, now I want to get back in size. I want to gain some, muscle mass and all that. So go to a personal trainer. And after a while, I don't know how long we did it. I'm not sure if it doesn't reach a year maybe. Because I've been working out all my life. It's not like I'm going to do. But I knew that having a coach would push me, and even if I push myself, he'll push me further in a safe, way. And he said, this is when I was ending my program with him, he said, Hisham, I love working out with you. Even if now I'm not going to train you, let me know whenever you're coming to the gym. We need to train together, because you never make excuses whenever we work out, right? You're always pushing yourself, and you are the strongest person mentally that I've ever trained. And for me, that's the best compliment, right? And that's what I try to bring to every session, is not, I want to be the strongest guy here. Like in terms of strength, there will always be somebody stronger than me, whether naturally or unnaturally, having some nice, juices, whatever, right? Which most people here do.
Really?
Yes. And it's a fact. And I only knew about this, very late, like probably just 2 years ago, that a lot of people that I see and I admire, and in the gym, I'm breaking myself, right, to be like, are actually having steroids.
Yeah.
So there's no way I can actually get there. So I should look at it differently. But leave that aside. I was just focusing on being the strongest mentally.
Yeah.
That's all I would advise anyone to focus on.
I think this is so important. Without your health, like health is wealth. Without health, everything's gone. Doesn't matter what career you have. Doesn't matter what car you drive. Doesn't matter anything. If one day something happens, you have to go to hospital, it could be over. And I want more people to understand this. It doesn't, I see people burning themselves to the ground, to working crazy hours and, putting all their life force into a company that doesn't care about them. Just to be someone in that, not taking care of their health. One of my friends told me recently that he had like a high CRP, which is linked to, you know, heart disease and all that kind of cardiac arrest. And he's young. I'm like, dude, I don't care what your job is. You got to sort this out. You can't be having heart attacks at this age. You can't be having any kind of issue. Just, I don't want to hear excuses. And that's what it is. We make so many excuses about this stuff until the bad thing happens. And Tony Robbins talks about the reason why we are motivated, right? So we have motivation for something where we want to go towards something and be happy about it, like go towards pleasure, or run away from pain. And sadly, the painful things are the ones that really push us. Same way I got into the gym because it was pain. But what if we went towards and that's where the self-love and the self-worth comes in and raising our standard. We're not taught that. We're taught to avoid things. We've got to reframe all of that. You know, I don't want bad things to happen to people before they make a decision. Nip it in the bud now. Get it now. Listen to this podcast and you think, okay. Think about what are you putting off right now? What is it you're putting off? How can you raise your standard and say, no, I need to do this today for my future self?
And it's very important what you said, like having a why. You know, sometimes that why is what initiates you making a switch. But even if you're not at that stage, just sit with yourself and clarify with yourself what's your why.
Yeah.
And that's because whatever plan you're going to decide for yourself, you better have a very, very strong why if your goal is big.
Yeah. But even if your goal is small, your why needs to be there because you're not always going to be motivated.
Exactly.
So you then have to just be disciplined. But you can, at least you can keep going back to that why to remind yourself. And that should be the practice.
Because once you put yourself through hardship, your mind's going to tell you, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
We were fine.
Yeah.
Before this.
Yeah.
There's no need.
Oh, and there's so many steps, even just going to the gym, there's so many steps that are going to stop you. Just getting up, first of all, in the bed. You're like, well, this is cozy. Why do I want to get out of bed? Just that, the first barrier, you know? And then, okay, I'll put clothes on. I'm still not awake yet. I have to go to the gym. And then I need to it's too many things.
It's because we're not focusing on how we'll feel after the gym.
Yeah. Even though I'm pretty sure that every gym experience you've had has always, you felt awesome after. And I'm sure everyone listening to this podcast has felt awesome after the exercise. How do we not remember? That's what I was saying earlier. We remember the bad times and it becomes like solidified in our memory to stop us doing something again. But the good times somehow don't pull us into that feeling of, I must go do that. Why is that harder? Why is that not as common? You know?
You told me when you were 22, you went to Umrah with your aunt.
Yeah.
And you didn't feel ready.
Dude, 22 years old. Now that all this transformation is also happening, right? So I'm feeling like the guy. I'm dating girls left, right, and center. I'm partying.
This is definitely not the time.
I'm having such a good time in all of the atrocities of life, right? All the vices, that when my aunt asked me, I just felt like I'm the worst Muslim. That's how I felt. I'm the worst possible guy to be going to this. And there's people that really want to go to Umrah. And you're just going to invite me like that? But I was the only one that could go with her. Like now women can go by themselves. But back then you needed a mahram. Someone that was blood related that could go with you. But my dad didn't want to go. My brother wanted to go with his family. And she didn't have a father. And it was just me. And her son was too young. So I felt a little bit bullied into it, you know, but through the emotional element, the tears, 'cause she'd come out of a divorce. And I remember speaking to my friend about it and he said, dude, God's calling you there. Doesn't matter. You know, this is a blessing. Just take it as that. No expectation. Just go. I said, but you know, when I come back, I still want to drink and I still want to do all these things. Just don't worry about it. Just go. You don't know how it isn't. You don't know what's going to happen. So I went. And it was the most...
Do you remember when you first saw the Kaaba?
Yeah, it was just awe-inspiring. It's hard to describe, but it was the whole time there, you know, hearing the azan every day, seeing the purity of everything and everyone around you, and that we're all just equal. We're all equal. We're all there with our shaved heads and our robes, and there was no one greater than you. There was no hierarchy, and we all had this common like love and cause, even when we face in the same way. And it was surreal to think that when you pray, we're all facing the Kaaba, like in Dubai, where in London, and I was there, you know, and it was surreal. And even as someone that, another reason why I felt like an imposter was because I was never taught how to be a Muslim. I was never taught to pray. I wasn't taught Arabic. My dad would just say, copy me when I go to the masjid. And so I also felt like, well, I'm not even a real Muslim. It just feels like I don't even know what I'm doing. And so I remember being on the plane on the way, and my little niece, cousin, was teaching me Arabic. It was so cute, and I love her so much. And actually, all of them, my two cousins and my aunt, and I pretty much learned how to pray, at least the first part, on the plane. And actually, I feel quite emotional. Yeah, it was just beautiful. It was so nice, and then sharing that experience with them because they were so young as well. But being there for my aunt, wow, I didn't know what that would get me. Just felt really special, and we really bonded during that time. You know, also Laugh, she's a really cool person, my aunt. So we also vibe, you know, just on a kind of friendly level as well. And I just grew closer to God during that experience.
Can you imagine how he was happy with you getting on the plane, going, because he can see the whole process, not just when you land there.
Then I didn't. Even then, I wasn't even having that kind of thought process. It was more like I'm just there for my aunt, like I'm cool. But I just felt good that just to be there, you know, and I felt at peace. Nothing else mattered when I was there.
You remember your thoughts when you were there?
No, not really. I just remember being at peace, just feeling really peaceful, and being curious about Islam, wanting to know more, you know, and seeing, because I faced a lot of racism back in the UK when I was growing up, and the kind of hate speech around all of this, and especially after 9/11, like it was hard to be brown. Even if you were Indian Hindu, you got the same abuse, you know. And I'm half. My mum's Indian Hindu, my dad's Pakistani Muslim, and it didn't matter. I was just abused by everyone. But it was just nice to see that I met Muslims from all over the world, every different color, every color imaginable, all ages, wheelchairs being pushed, doesn't matter how old you are, we were all one. And it was just complete unity. And I thought, this is it. This is like the religion, you know. And I felt so at peace, and I felt so connected, and I felt so whole, I think was the word. And I almost didn't want to leave because I didn't want to go back to my life as it was.
I always hear this, that
but it was inevitable because I did go back, and I think it took 2 weeks before I went out again. And then it just slowly, you know, just went in that way. But the reason why I got emotional was because I've just started praying. And I've been in Dubai 3 years, and I haven't really prayed. And I hear the Azan every day. And so in the back of my mind, it's always there. But again, I've forgotten how to pray. And it's, before I went to London recently, I found a prayer mat in my apartment. I was like, sign. So I left the prayer mat facing the Kaaba before I left. I said, when I come back, I'm praying Fajr.
Nice.
And I did. And I've done it every day since I came back. But I'm watching a YouTube video to teach me as I pray. Mm-hmm. I'm sure God will still appreciate what I'm doing, you know?
Yeah, we get rewarded for our effort, not our outcomes.
Yeah. So it just feels good. And I swear, like, I feel so good waking up and doing this. You know, I'm sitting there, I'm sending like videos to like my family in that group chat, and they're thinking, what's going on? You know, what's happening here? And I just feel closer to religion. I just feel closer to my faith. And even before, you know, when I was dating, I wouldn't care what religion they were. But now I do. And that.
What do you feel like changed, at least with yourself, in terms of before you were, I wouldn't say, you know, none of us are fully practicing, but at least practicing more.
I think my sister got married recently, and I was around my family for a lot of time, in a concentrated amount of time, and just seeing love and just seeing couples. And I'm thinking, you know what, there's something to be said about similar cultures that I think can add to a longevity of a relationship and a happy one. And just being, first of all, it's just being around all the family. I remember I'm half, some Indian Pakistani. So it wasn't the Muslim part yet. It was just, okay, being with someone that's of similar culture, that feels like that's what I want. I got to meet people as well that were outside of my family that were also brown or Hindu or Muslim. And I was like, okay, I could vibe with this. This feels nice. We're speaking the same, we're thinking the same. I like it. And then I recently broke up with my partner. We parted ways, and we weren't of the same faith. And there were some instances during the year where I felt like, it would have been nice to be with someone that had the same faith as me. Like during Ramadan, I didn't fast. And I started off with the intention of fasting. And I felt like, if I was with someone that encouraged me, it would have been nice. And we could have gone on that journey together. And not to like say anything wrong with her. She was a fantastic woman and still is.
You just felt at this stage you actually would appreciate the support.
Yeah, because I feel like this is what I want. I don't want to go on this journey with someone. And even if they are maybe more religious than me or more, it's fine. But they all understand where I'm at on my journey is completely okay. And even like, naming my kids with Arabic names and they sending them to masjid or just feeling that, that family. I feel like when you think and feel the same, that just sounds beautiful to me.
But I guess, they say, I think there's a saying in Arabic that says, we understand things by seeing its opposite to a certain extent. Maybe all your life you've been hearing, it's nothing like praying from your own culture. And
yeah.
we've been drilled with that all our lives.
So my family told me for years that my dad wouldn't love me to marry Pakistani, at least a Muslim. My grandmother, God rest her soul, like she would want me to marry a Muslim. My family, both my brother and my aunt are very religious, and they always talk to me about Islam, right? And they always say things like, if you marry a Muslim, that means your kids are Muslim. And I was like, well, are you saying I'm Muslim or not? Because my mum's Hindu. And they're like, no, you're Muslim because you. Come on, guys. Okay, anyway, they tried, but I had to get here on my own, and I did. I got here fully on my own, where this is my decision, and it's also liberating to have decided this. So when you're talking about decision earlier, making a decision will free you. When you don't make a decision, you think you're free. Because
when do you feel that the decision was made for you?
When I came back from London this time around, like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Literally. And I started praying.
And
I was like, well, I like talking about this.
But even before that, you had already put the mat.
No, so going towards Islam, I had decided before that, but being with someone Muslim.
No. I'm just saying, just to, because we always want to progress.
It was the mat.
In different areas of our lives.
The mat.
We want our career. We want health-wise.
Relationships,
right?
Everything.
Relationships, but not much. We don't care much about elevating spiritually or religiously.
Like I said,
or faith, wise.
Exactly. But going back to how I've been in the last 3 years and just being all like this, the last pillar that I hadn't addressed was faith. And my life coach is a Pakistani Muslim. And he talks to me here and there. He doesn't push me. But even just imagine, he's like 50-something years old. And when I told him this is what I want and what I'm doing, he couldn't believe it. He's so happy. But going through all this hardship and realizing that this is one pillar that I haven't addressed, it almost was like, okay, maybe this is what I have to do. Part of the surrender, part of leaning into spirituality, leaning into religion, this situation with my partnership and that coming away and, and being at the wedding and all these things are kind of coming together. And then finally seeing the mat. I found it by like accident, obviously not accident, but that was the moment where I was like, okay, you're showing me, fine. And how can I not? I hear the azan every day. I'm not praying 5 times. I'm at least doing this for now, and we'll go from there.
Keep building,
and build it up. And it helps me as well in so many ways because now I'm up early and I go to the gym anyway. So it's like pray, go for my walk or something.
Starting right.
Go to the gym. I'm part of the 5 a.m. club now. Budget is like 5:02 at the moment, so it's like perfect. I'm up. Start the day. Let's go.
And you were wondering, of course, if you would take care of this pillar, it would elevate a lot of areas and have a positive impact. And now that you started doing that, what have you seen?
I'm even more at peace with what is happening. So even if, you know, I still got a lot of work to do on like business and finances and all these little things, I am not worried about it because I feel so connected. I'm like, God's got me.
Yes.
You know, that's how I feel.
Yes.
Because I'm talking to him in the morning. You know, we're having a little chat,
Absolutely.
and after I pray, I sit and I make dua for everything that's happening in the world right now, for my family, for my rarely for myself. I was telling a friend the other day that I don't make dua for myself. She goes, "You should." You know, I was like, okay. So just having that conversation, I was listening to like a man reciting from the Quran today. It's like a song. So beautiful. I had it on repeat for like 3 hours. You know, and I was singing along, and I don't know Arabic, but there was like one line where he's repeating it, and I was like, wow, this sounds so amazing. It feels good. So not only am I feeling more connected, more at peace, I also feel like happy, you know, joyful. And so that also means that I don't need to go out and seek joy and seek happiness. I already feel it here, and I'm starting the day that way. I mean, what more could I ask for? And then having that deep knowing that everything is going to be okay, and it gives me the strength to get through the day without it having to be forced. I haven't been able to really sleep early these last few weeks since I got back from London, but I'm still up at 5. I could be going to bed at midnight, 12:30. The other day it was 1 o'clock. I went to bed. 4 hours sleep doesn't matter. I wake up, and again, because you know I go to the gym, I'm up for the whole day. There's no sleep. Hopefully I will catch up with my sleep at the weekend, but sleep is important, guys. Everyone listening here, sleep is important, and I'm working it out. I just need to get my night routine in place. But what I'm trying to say is, I don't feel any kind of way about it. I don't feel like, I don't feel that. I'm getting up. And this has been the most profound lesson and part of my journey in Dubai to date.
Wow.
All the other things, like, great, they're going to happen. But this, because it's been missing from my life since birth. I've never had this. Yes, I've done Ramadan. I've been to the mosque during Ramadan, but I'm just there. I'm going through the motions. This time is different because I wanted to do it. I'm doing it on my own. I'm trying to learn by myself. I'm connecting with more Muslims. It just feels right.
And I think, you know, when you have, let's say, a lot of exposure, let's say, to different sciences, especially with personal development, and then now you see when you come to start, you know, worshiping and start, you know, practicing, you see a lot of things make sense differently.
Yeah.
You know, it becomes a more elevated understanding. And then, of course, the more you know that you don't know.
Yeah.
But you appreciate it more. You appreciate it more rather than just coming from a place of, all right, I'm a Muslim because my dad's a Muslim and that's it. But not, which I say it's like knowing about the company you're in. Like, imagine I come and ask you, where do you work? And you tell me so and so. And I'm like, what do you guys do? I'm like, look, don't ask me about what we do.
I'm just the accountant.
I just know my job. But what we do as a company, don't ask me.
Yeah, no,
you don't want to be that guy.
I hear that. It's enlightening. And, you know, I've always been someone that understands that the universe has got you, right? And the attraction and what you put out, you get back. And there's no rejection, it's just redirection, and, you know, good things will come to you. I've always been that guy, but now I can apply it differently because it feels like there's a faith behind it now, and there's something greater about. And I've always believed in God. I just didn't know why. You know, I didn't know how it would benefit me, and I also felt guilty about even thinking about the benefit of God. Actually, there is a benefit. You know, and even though I'm still very early in the journey of understanding anything, like, again, I'm listening to Arabic, but I don't know what it means. The fact that it feels right, the fact that I can sing along to or just recite with this imam singing, I don't need to understand, if I'm being honest. It doesn't feel like I have to find the deeper meaning. The meaning is happening in real time. And that's worth more than anything else. You know?
Yeah, I think, we should try and live our lives the way that we'll be comfortable going at any time.
Yeah.
And if you're a person of faith, then you definitely want to fix up your relationship with your Creator.
Yeah. And it also adds into all the other stuff.
Every other thing doesn't matter.
It doesn't. And even that links into your moral compass, your integrity, how pious you are. All these things are aligned. If you just look at even religion, it's only trying to teach you the right things. You know? It only wants you to be a good person.
A better person, a better human.
Yeah.
Which is not the narrative that most people would think they know. Especially with the media all being against Islam in specific. It's only after, and even as Muslims, it's only after you start actually taking interest and diving deeper, you realize that it is only about becoming a better human.
Yeah.
It's just about that. That's where it starts.
Yeah.
That's where it starts. It's about that.
Yeah.
And I see the contradiction, let's say, when our brothers come and park on the road, like not in the parking slot, on the road, to get in the mosque to pray. And you're going to the mosque to please your Creator, but meanwhile, you're hurting His creation. You know, you're probably blocking the road. And I don't care even if you're about to leave as soon as the prayer is over. You know, especially even if it's an area of all Muslims, I would still say it's still wrong, because our religion is a religion of beauty, of courtesy. That is what it's about. That's how our Prophet was. So, but there's no that understanding. So, and some of them are actually genuinely ignorant about this very crucial, fundamental part of Islam, right? So I'm going to pray, I'm rushing while I'm blocking someone else. And I'm so naive, or careless about other people. Yeah. So imagine now if it's an area, which most part of Dubai, mixture of different faiths.
Yeah.
And what do you expect them to think about our religion?
Yeah, of course.
And that the first thing is, as a human, if I was in their shoes, I'll just build some resentment for this religion.
Yeah.
Even if I don't know why. One, because I'm getting late, right? For something like, I can go on forever.
Yeah, no, of course, I get it.
But
I get it.
That's one thing I would love everybody to understand about Islam, that it's just about being a good human. That's where it starts.
100%.
Talking about that, I want to talk about you sleeping 3 days in the streets of London.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is not a common thing. Like, you hear, like, hey, Adil, next Tuesday, we're going out for dinner. Oh, no, sorry, I can't make it. I have to, I'll be sleeping in the streets
I'm
of
going to be
London.
sleeping on the streets, homeless.
To raise awareness for the
So,
homeless.
I can't remember how it came about now. I think I was talking to someone. I think it was my best friend's girlfriend, and we're talking about it. And we thought about just doing it for charity, and we looked up kind of homelessness, and we found out about this charity called Crisis. And I was like, wow, I didn't know about this, and I don't know even what's happening for homeless people, and why they're there, how do they survive, or what's going on. And I said to her, why don't we sleep rough, me and her? And she was really keen, because she's very much an activist and wants all this stuff. And we were so naive at even this process. Imagine being 19? Yeah, 19, 20 years old. 19 years old. We were at uni and going to do it. My best friend, as you can imagine, was to his girlfriend like, no, you are not doing this. And so she told me, and obviously I was quite upset because I was looking forward to just being with someone. I was quite scared.
At least having someone with you.
And then last minute, my best friend said, I'm coming with you. I was like, oh, thank God. I was so happy. So we took this. I remember I told my dad what I was doing, and he was not keen. My dad was like, what are you doing? And I wanted him to drop me off into London or somewhere to go meet my best friend, and he just didn't. He just dropped me off at the train station and gone. I was a bit sad. I was like, oh man, like, okay, fine. I got to now carry the sleeping bag with me, and I look like a bum. And the whole thing was, we didn't have any money on us. We said, let's do it properly. No money for the nights that we're there. I was like, okay. So we just went to London and we walked around, and we didn't know what to do until it got to nighttime. And then we just sat on the floor and got in our sleeping bags and just sat there. But London changes at nighttime. People going out and clubbing and partying all this stuff, but the homeless people come out. I'm thinking, where are these guys all day? I have no idea where they were all day, but at night they come out. And there's the stereotypical things, trolleys and crates and cardboard boxes, and it's just so surreal. And I remember, like, this guy came up to us and he was, I think he was on some kind of drugs, and he was like tapping my head, and he was like, I want to go get my stuff and I'll come back. And I got scared. People were like, this is my plot, you can't be here. And then you had these like really charismatic homeless guys that were like, hey man, you got any money? Like, I thought, wow, you should be a comedian or something, or you should be on stage. And I got to see different characters. And I would wonder, like, how and why are they here? And I talked to a few of them, and it's very trivial stories. It was like even my story of being kicked out, and they just didn't do anything with themselves. They just thought that was the only way. And they got into like drugs and stuff, and then they just couldn't find a way out. And they all kind of keep to each other and keep together. And then that night was pretty rough. We couldn't sleep, as you can imagine. And then London just seemed to wake up at like 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock with the construction and everything that was going on. It was like, we didn't get any sleep. One guy did give us £5. He was out leaving a club with 2 girls. So I think he felt like a bit of a big man and gave us like a £5 note. So we went and bought some snacks and some things to eat, because obviously we were starving. We'd use public bathrooms to like wash or just, say a little bit hygienic. And then we walked from, I remember, Leicester Square to Covent Garden. And I used to love Covent Garden because they would always have street shows. And I remember thinking that the street performers, I thought they were homeless, or they were like of that kind of demographic. And they were. So we went straight there, and we got talking to the Scottish guy. It was 10 a.m. or 9 a.m. He already had a beer in his pocket and drinking away. And I met this other guy called Pepe. And Pepe was one of the street comedians. He's so funny. Take the piss out of people. I got talking to him. But he was such a cynic. He was really not nice. And the Scottish guy would tell us, you need to go to the crisis shelter if you're newly homeless. And the Pepe guy would say, no, they're going to get stuck in the system. Mm. So whether he's paranoid or whether there is a system that people get sucked into, maybe that's why all these homeless guys are not going to it, I don't know. But it was just weird to see that kind of interaction. And then the Scottish man said, you guys are young and fit. I'm going to take you to Scotland or Brighton or some kind of beach resort, and we're going to make some money. Who can drive? And I was like, he can drive. And my friend looking at me like, shut up, like, what are you doing? But it was really weird. And the guy said, you need to get rid of those sleeping bags now. Go get a bag, get rid of the sleeping bags, and we're going to come and work. Get back here in 10 minutes and we're going to work. We just got freaked out. This guy was being so intense. We just led, okay, we're going to leave. And we just walked and walked and walked. And we walked for half an hour without looking back. End up in Russell Square. I quite like Russell Square. It's quite nice. So now we're sitting in the park. And because Ashley, my best friend, because he's super fit, athletic, good-looking man, we just started doing press-ups in the park. We just enjoyed ourselves, We weren't really homeless. It just felt really weird. And then we started sitting on a bench, and this guy was sitting there, and he started telling us about his life. Really depressive. Like, he was just in a very bad place. And I remember him saying to us, like, oh, man, guys, I feel so sorry for you. I'm so sorry. I've just been offloading. You guys are homeless. And he said, here. And he gave me a spliff. He said, here, take this. And we just ended up smoking it in the park. But then we went to sit on the floor and beg for money. Well, let's just do what homeless people do and see what happens. And the police came to us. I said, did you know that begging is homeless? You're not allowed to do that. And I was like, no, I did not know it was illegal to do that. I thought everyone's begging for money. Apparently it's illegal. What I also found out was that if you are homeless...
Is it illegal, like only at the park, or is it anywhere?
You can't beg. You're not allowed to beg for money or for anything of anyone. I don't know how and when that law came into place, but people do just typically generate some kind of cash. The other thing I learned was
that... So they'll just have...
Yeah, so you don't ask, you just maybe put a sign. So I think the way around it is you can't speak it. And we were speaking it. Very change. Like Oliver Twist. And then we found out that if you are homeless in a particular place, you've got to stay there. So they asked us, where did you come from? I said, Leicester Square. They said, you need to stay in the borough of Camden. You need to stay in Leicester Square because you're being watched and monitored without you realizing it. Like, people are watching after you, like, in a good way. I was like, oh, okay. That feels good to know. So I was learning all these things. And I thought, people don't know about this. The other thing I learned about is the crisis loan. So you can actually get help from this crisis shelter that will get you on your feet and into an apartment. So I started thinking now, why do these people not want to do that?
Yeah.
They gave us all this advice, the police, and they even checked us out. They knew who we were, like everything, as you can imagine. And so we didn't end up staying for 3 nights. We thought, hell no, are we doing this again? And imagine, these guys are living this way, and we couldn't do 1 night or 2 nights even. My brother came, met me, gave me a $5. I was able to go home on the train. But I spoke to a newspaper about what had happened. And I just wanted to give as much information as possible and raise awareness and money for the homeless people, to raise awareness for the charity of crisis. And that if you ever do find yourself in a situation where you're homeless, that actually there's pathways for you. And it was quite a rewarding experience in a way, because I generated like £250, but it was the awareness part. People just didn't know. They're like, wow, thank you so much. I didn't realize that all these things were available. And, you know, who knows, that conversation can go to that person. Then the butterfly effect, the ripple effect would have gone from miles and miles into God knows how many people. But when I tell that story to people, they think, why did you do that? And even at that age, I was someone that wanted to help and give back and help those that needed it. You know, I didn't really quite understand it at the time, but now if I can connect the dots looking backwards.
You've always been on this path.
I've always been on this path, you know? Yeah, rewarding in its own way, but it's very scary.
Like, so definitely I've never done anything like it. So I wonder what was going through your head? Like, what are the observations that you saw which you did not see before?
Where they hang out, first of all, so where they're hiding out, or where they're just and they would be in some kind of shelters, but they wouldn't become like, they wouldn't stay there. And as I got to speak with a few of them, I realized that there is a fear of being trapped in a system, and almost like they're almost outside of any system. Police can't touch them. Like nothing can affect them. They're already affected, but they almost sit outside of the law. They sit outside of everything. They're still kind of looked after, but they sit outside of it. And because of that, I feel like in a way, they're kind of more aware.
Which is a system on its own.
Yeah. So yeah, they're out of the I don't know, the typical system, but they make their own system where they got their own laws. You know, like, this is my spot. And there's certain things that are said, not said, the unsaid, all these kind of things that we would have to learn if we were out there, the streets. You know, you'd have to learn the code. But I think, yeah, it was mainly about just the understanding that they're afraid of something greater than themselves. They find unity in each other. So that's why they also stay there. But it was always a deeper reason why they were there in the first place on the streets. It wasn't as simple as, oh, they're just making bad choices. No, they've really been abused by the system. They've really been abused by people in their lives. And they really saw no way out. And going back to what we talked about earlier, and that self-esteem and self-worth is lower than low. It's beneath the ground. It's non-existent. And so they give each other that strength and hope. You know? It becomes a little family outside of that.
And with yourself, what are the most takeaways you feel you took for yourself?
So much gratitude. I was so grateful for the life that I have. You know? Even just my thought processes, how I think, that I would never be in that place, you know, ever. And I know I won't. Like, obviously, inshallah, it's never going to happen to me, but just the way that I think. And I was grateful for my family for being able to create what they did for me. And yeah, just immense gratitude. That was my greatest takeaway, is gratitude. And I would want to build more awareness in this area. And even when I see homeless people, like, sometimes you can look at them and think, oh, they're just lying, or they're just putting it on, I'm not going to give them money, or they're going to spend it on drugs. So what? Let them spend it on drugs. If it brings them a little bit of bliss, they're going to get it anyway. I remember once I gave a man a £20 note. He hugged me so tight. Even if he was going to buy something, I don't care. Like, go. Or I buy food for people. If I think that maybe I don't want to give them money, I'm like, let me buy, what do you want? Food? I'll buy you food. We should give back more.
Adil, I want to give you your flowers while we're at it. I see you constantly, you know, providing different programs and platforms with your community, Brotherhood DXB. And it's just to generally just trying to elevate men from all aspects related to a man's health, which usually there's a lot of initiatives for the kids, for women, you know, empowering women, you know, the actual term.
Yeah.
There is nothing called empowering men.
No.
Non-existent. No. So I think it's very vital to have it here in Dubai, of course, and it's growing. It's you have people from literally all around the world. I've met through your group like people from different walks of life. Continue, you know, on your path that you started a long time. It makes sense. It all makes sense, and it's just going to a good place, inshallah.
Yeah, it will. Thank you, man.
Thank you for this.
What a pleasure.